There's something about a late-night city street that never really feels safe. No matter how many lights are on or how clean the sidewalks are, if you've ever walked alone past midnight, especially in a place like DC, you know that feeling, that itch in your spine, that voice in the back of your head reminding you that anything can happen. And a few nights ago, something did. It wasn't viral. It wasn't on every front page, but it hit hard for the people who know what it's like to live in the real world. A young man, 19 years old, stepped in to stop a woman from getting attacked in her car. His name is Edward Coristine. Some might know him online by the name Big Balls. But this isn't about internet nicknames. It's about the moment a person makes a decision that most wouldn't. She was in her car. A group of teenagers approached, fast, with intent. Edward saw it happening and didn't hesitate. He acted. He got her back inside and stood between her and the mob. No backup. No hesitation, and no second chances. They beat him badly, 10 against 1. He took the hit so she didn't have to. This wasn't some vague altercation. This was targeted, intentional, and violent. He ended up concussed, bloodied, and robbed. That's what it cost him to do the right thing. And the ripple hit louder than usual. It caught the attention of Elon Musk. He called it what it was, evidence that DC can't protect its people. Even Donald Trump weighed in, calling for federal action. They weren't just grandstanding. They saw what we saw, a city where someone steps up, does the right thing, and still loses. When people with power start speaking up, it says something. But the truth? People like Edward don't have power. They have guts. And sometimes, that's all they're left with. People throw around the word safe like it means something absolute. But real safety, out there, on the street, it's not a guarantee. It's a gamble. It depends on time, place, and who's nearby when things go bad. That night in DC, there were no cameras rolling, no police cruiser turning the corner, no rescue squad waiting in the wings, just one man doing what he could with what he had. And that tells you everything about how security really works in the world most of us live in. We talk a lot about crime rates, about how things are improving on paper, fewer robberies, lower homicides, better numbers for the evening news. But what gets buried beneath all that is what doesn't make the charts. Moments like this, the kind where someone's choice to act determines whether a woman gets pulled from her car or makes it home. DC is the kind of city where power protects itself with layers of armed security. Politicians are shielded by trained professionals carrying the very tools ordinary people are told they don't need. In neighborhoods where those same rules apply, regular folks walk home in the dark, hoping danger passes them by. That disconnect is brutal. We're told to call for help, wait, comply, that the system is designed to protect us. But systems don't stand on sidewalks. Systems don't step in when you've got 10 bodies moving fast and bad intentions in their eyes. Edward didn't freeze. He didn't pull out a phone or shout for someone else to get involved. He made a decision to intervene, to stand between someone vulnerable and the people who meant her harm. He took the hits instead. And for what it's worth, that kind of instinct, that raw, decisive action, is rare. Most people won't do it. Not because they don't care, but because they know what happens when you stand up empty-handed. You see, the conversation we should be having isn't about whether someone like him was brave enough. He was. It's whether someone like him should have had more than courage to rely on in that moment. That's where this story starts to matter for all of us. Here's the part where people like to throw their hands up and say, well, at least he tried. As if trying is enough. As if absorbing violence with your bare body is some kind of noble solution. That kind of thinking, that passivity disguised as virtue, is exactly why we have a Second Amendment in the first place. The right to keep and bear arms was never about hunting or sports or some nostalgia trip for frontier days. It exists because the world is unpredictable and people can be dangerous. Not in theory. In fact, in parking lots, on sidewalks, outside your house, when you look at what happened to Edward, it's not a fluke. It's not some one-in-a-million scenario that we can shrug off. It's what happens when someone brave has no means to level the playing field. That's it. That's the core truth here. We live in a culture that treats criminals like victims and good people like suspects. Try to carry legally in certain cities and they make you jump through hoops, get fingerprinted, pay fees, take classes, And still, you might get denied. Meanwhile, a gang of teens can coordinate an attack, and when two of them get arrested, they're not even charged as adults. They'll be back on the street before Edward fully recovers from a brain injury. You think that's justice? People say guns escalate things. But I'll tell you what escalates things even faster. Being surrounded by 10 bodies with zero means of defense. A gun in the right hands doesn't escalate. It equalizes. It gives you a chance. And when you're up against a group that doesn't care about your life, that chance matters more than anything. We talk a lot about privilege in this country, right? Here's a new definition for you. Privilege is having armed security while telling the rest of us to rely on hope. Hope won't stop a fist from breaking your jaw. Hope won't stop a mob from swarming your car. Hope won't get you home alive. The Second Amendment isn't about fear, it's about readiness. It's about saying, I take responsibility for my safety and the safety of those I love. And if the law won't protect us in time, it damn well shouldn't stop us from protecting ourselves. There's a reason stories like this hit hard for people like us. Because we don't live in theory. We live in the real world. The one where the bad guys don't play by the rules. And the people trying to follow the law end up getting punished for it. Edward didn't ask to be a hero. He didn't plan to be in a fight that night. But he made a choice when it counted. He put himself between danger and someone vulnerable. And the cost was real. And here's the part that no one wants to say out loud. If he'd been armed, legally, responsibly, he might not have walked away with a concussion. He might have walked away with her, unharmed. Not because he wanted to shoot anyone, but because he could have stopped the threat without sacrificing his body to do it. We don't carry because we're paranoid. We carry because we're aware, because we understand what the world is like when no one is coming to save you. And this isn't just about one man in one city. This is about every person who's been told they should just call 911, comply, cooperate, wait. That mindset gets people hurt. It gets people killed. What saves lives is preparedness. What gives people a fighting chance is the ability to respond when seconds count. And whether you're in D.C., New York, Chicago, or any so-called gun control success story, the truth doesn't change. Laws don't stop violence. Good people with the means to defend themselves do. I'm not here to glorify firearms. I'm not saying every situation should end with a weapon drawn. What I'm saying is this: when you strip people of their ability to defend themselves, you're not protecting them, you're making them easier targets. Edward did what few people would. He didn't back down, and he paid for that choice in bruises and blood. But the real tragedy? It's that he didn't have more than bravery on his side, because if he did, we'd be telling a very different story right now. If you take one thing from this, let it be this: courage is good, but it's not enough. Not when the streets are unpredictable, not when the law won't protect you in time. What happened to Edward isn't rare. It's real. And next time, it could be someone you know. It could be you. This is why we carry. This is why the Second Amendment matters, because we refuse to hand our lives over to chance. Train, prepare, stay legal, stay sharp, because no one's coming, and you shouldn't have to stand empty-handed when it's your life on the line.